Right. So, this is spring on the left. This is summer on the right. So BLG stayed the same. Top Esports stayed the same. JDG stayed the same team-wise in terms of the players. However, Warhorse joined. Warhorse being a big historic coach. I'm just going to mute this while we do this. Warhorse being the coach of FPX when they won Worlds. Also a long-time coach of Top Esports, if I'm not mistaken. I believe. My camera's gone. Shit. Yeah, coach of Top Esports for a year as well. I guess a long time, maybe overstating it. NWE. But also a lot of history on Flash Wolves winning domestically and then taking LMS International as well. Yeah, so JDG, I think are going to be better this split just because I think they've just got a slight upgrade in terms of coaching, and they were already a really good roster, right? This roster is really fucking good. I feel like they should have been better in spring, honestly. So, who do I have as the starting top? I think it'll still be Flandre. I mean, it all depends on performance. I don't know how they're individually performing since last split, right? But I would assume Flandre, they stuck with Flandre when it came to the big games in playoffs, so I assume Flandre will still be their starter. I mean, he's a literal world champion, guys. This guy's basically a Zale. She is still very young, so I would imagine when it comes to bigger series and stuff, it's probably still Flandre, depending on form, unless Sheer just goes absolutely fucking mental. NIP, also just sticking with the roster. They didn't even make coaching changes, so I do think that NIP should just simply be better than they were last split. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't just continue to improve, right? Rookie looks like he's really in form. They kind of trolled a little bit macro-wise versus Weibo, but overall, I don't think it was that bad from NIP. Like, on average, they looked a lot better than Weibo, right? So, sure, it's a little bit sloppy, but it's the first game of the split, so I think you can... yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It's down to Aki, I think. Aki is my biggest, like, question mark on this team. If Aki can fucking level up, this is potentially a Worlds team. I think that these three teams, BLG, JDG, and Top Esports, make it to Worlds. I think it's very, very unlikely that they don't. It's the fourth slot that is up for grabs. And I think NIP is a contender. I think Weibo is a contender. Like, when you look at this roster, how can they not be a contender? For context, Weibo last split had ZDZ and they had Xiaohao and Yodang. Now they've got Breathe, which I think is just a flat upgrade on ZDZ. And they've got Tarzan, who should just be a flat upgrade on Xiaohao or Yodang. Obviously, Xiaohao being the majority jungler for that split. In theory, those guys should just be flat upgrades. Like, you've got Light and Crisp, should be an insane bot lane. Light actually looked really good in their series. And then Xiaohu should be a really good mid laner. Xiaohu did not look particularly good during the series. Chris didn't look that good. Breathe didn't look that good. Tarzan didn't look that good. I mean, there was a lot of, like, I don't know. Day one, new roster. We'll see how it goes. I do think Weibo are a serious contender, though. I think they could go to Worlds. In my power rankings, before any games had been played, I have Weibo as the fourth team going to Worlds. Just for context. LNG, I guess, slight change in that Mark left. But aside from that, sticking with the roster, I think that's fine. Like, I'm sure you guys are all probably clowning on me saying Weibo might make it to Worlds after that first series. We haven't seen that first series when I made my power rankings, right? So, I think LNG, again, in theory, this should be a really good roster. In theory, this should be a potential contender for Worlds, right? It's just whether or not they perform. Scout looking pretty good in game number one, though. I'm like, if that's kind of the par for Scout, I'm okay with that. Like, that's much better than the average game we got in spring from Scout. I think the team, theoretically, should be a solid contender, a top 4 contender to be sure. FPX, I don't know. I don't know if I'm a believer in FPX. So, for context as well, Moyan gone, the new, I'm not, I need to double check the pronunciation before I cast them. As a, I don't know if he's a sub or if he's a replacement for Xiaolahu. Both of them still on the roster. The new is, he's an LDL player. I believe he's on FPX Blaze, if I remember right, but I don't really keep up with LDL super well. Okay, so FPX Blaze a long time, then bounced around a little bit, and then back to FPX. So, just getting an opportunity, potential contender for Xiaolahu. Still somewhat the Milky Way show, but they showed in playoffs that it's not just the Milky Way show. So, we'll see. I hope they can do well. I do hope that they can do well. I just don't know if I believe it. So, we'll see. But Life and Doctum, really stepped up in playoffs. Care had some absolutely insane games on Asol and Ari. So, I do think there's real potential here. But, you know, are Asol and Ari going to be meta? Can Care do well outside of Asol, Ari, Yone? We'll have to find out. Maybe he can just play those, right? Especially with Milky Way pulling 19 bans every game. Don't know. So FPX, I honestly still just have a lot of questions for that team. WE, I actually think WE is a really solid roster. Like, LP and Mark really have a lot of work ahead of them. I think Fofo, Hung, and Wayward were the highlights of this team in the previous split. I'm kind of sad that Stay left. I thought Stay had some real potential. But, yeah, he's gone. The other thing worth mentioning, obviously, that Prince and Iwandi gone as well. Mark stepping in. Again, we talked about Mark earlier. He's kind of a bit coin flip, right? Like, some splits he looks good because it's just Nautilus games every game. Sometimes he just hooks into walls and dies. We'll have to see which version of Mark we've got. LP in their first series, I think, was the weak link for WE. They still looked good, but they were playing against RNG, who realistically didn't look good at all. I think LP had a couple of moments there where a better ADC wouldn't die or wouldn't get caught or wouldn't get hit by the spear or whatever. So we'll see. I've got my eyes on LP. He's kind of par as far as AD carries go, in my opinion. Like, he's not really going to be your big carry guy, but he's okay. We'll come back to this. Part 2 of the power rankings after the rest of the series. This on this. Oh my god. Ooh! What is happening? Bro, it's like that fucking... Did you guys have that software in school where you could do this? It was like Paint or something, and you could do fucking... Yeah. Bro. I think it's because this is the preview. That's why. Okay. Well, that was fun, wasn't it, guys? So, we did our top pool. We talked about FPS. We talked about these guys. I think we talked about WE, right? About the bot lane. I'm not super convinced yet, but I hope they can be good. LNG we talked about. So, it's pool 3. Pool 3. OMG. Slight changes. Slight change. Linfeng got promoted. I guess not promoted. I need to change this. I can't even read what that says on the actual thing. I need to go check now. Thank you very much for the sub, whoever you are. Mossman Jones, I appreciate the prime. Thank you so much. Appreciate the support as always. That's what, 4 subs today? God damn. Thank you for the support, guys. I do appreciate it. Mossman Jones, I like your name, bro. Good name. Oh, I should run ads, actually, shouldn't I? Hey! Sturmkrebs as well. Thank you very much for the prime as well. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Let the train start. Let's go, Sturmkrebs. Another great name. That's very satisfying to say. Okay, so OMG, they lost Abel. Abel, I think just a free agent. I guess nobody picked him up. They just chose not to pick him up again. Starry being promoted to the main roster. Well, I guess he was already on the main roster, right? But now the main AD carry. Lin Feng also technically on the main roster as the sub, I guess. We saw Angel play today. Angel, pretty sus in the laning phase, but good later on. Starry had some good moments. I don't know. I kind of want to believe in this team, but it's just like, I don't know. There's just nothing jumping out, right? There's nothing there that screams like we're going to win stuff. They're all just kind of okay players. And that's just not enough. That's just not enough. OMG, I'm kind of just... I've lost my faith in OMG at this point. I didn't really have any faith in OMG to start with, but I've lost it. I know there's a couple of people in chat, Jest especially, big OMG fans. It's doomed, lads. It's doomed. IG, I already talked about them just a tiny bit there. Like, Vampire's still in his rookie year and not looking that good. Arn kind of... He's had some good moments, but he's kind of... Like, the fact that Arn is your veteran player, like, you're kind of struggling a bit here. Nani, first year mid lane LPL. Didn't look that good on Corky. We'll have to wait and see. I don't want to give too much judgment on that yet. Like, he had some pretty good games in top lane previously. I think he can become good. GLFS, I don't know enough about LDL to know how good he is. Doing, again, same. Like, we've got a lot of question marks, right? We've got a lot of unknown factors, so really hard to judge them. For me right now, with just the amount of raw talent, or the amount of, like, fresh players, sorry, they're just at the bottom of the rankings for me. Anyone's Legend, I think, pretty improved. Like, there's not a lot of changes here, aside from, obviously, Tabe joined last split in, I think it was March he joined. We didn't really see a massive, like, oh my god, Tabe's changed everything. There was, like, a few people really attributing the good games to Tabe. I think it was more than just that, really, but Allah now joining in the top lane. Allah out of Elo Hell. He's left EDG, thank God. I do think that the top side was the weakest part for this roster, so I'm really on board with this. I think Croco had some really good games last split. I think Shanks has the potential to be a really, really good mid laner. Hope and Kale are pretty solid 2v2 as well. Like, I think this is a really good middle-of-the-table team with potential of more, but, like, you know, planets need to align and whatnot. I don't think they've shown that they can be more yet, but I'm cautiously optimistic on Anyone's Legend. I think that they can contend with some of the better teams. I definitely think they're the best in this pool. I think they can contend with teams like WE, maybe teams like FPX. It depends on what FPX end up looking like. Maybe even teams like Weibo, NIP, LNG, depending on their forms. LNG looking pretty good today. I don't really think LNG... I think LNG are actually going to be a top team this split. I think Weibo and NIP, I think one of them will be good, one of them will just fall apart. I don't know. It's always hard to call when we're talking about, like, player form. If everyone's in their peak form, Anyone's Legend doesn't really touch these, like, 7 teams, and they can maybe contend with WE. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I'm kind of hyped on them. I want to believe that they can do really good things. How are we doing on the break? Still going. I might just turn the sound on a little bit just so I hear when we come out of break and that. I need to run ads as well before the game starts, so I'm just going to run ads. I apologize if you're watching the power rankings. I will upload this to YouTube, but I do need to run ads before the next game starts, or you'll get ads during the game. So Twitch makes you do it. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I'm just kind of have to. Otherwise, people will get ads during the games. So, next team. LGD. Big changes. I can't remember. I don't think so. Oh, Kep. Oh, yeah, they... Am I going crazy? Yeah, they didn't, right? Yeah, no changes. So I expect them to be mandatory capitalism break. LP is worse than Stay. I kind of agree. I want to believe that LP can do better, but I don't see it yet, so we'll have to see. OGD. I actually think OGD looked better than... I think they looked better than this. And especially at the end of the split, if you remember, they kind of went on a little hot streak. I have a little bit of hope for LGD in my heart. I just think that there's a lot of really good teams right now. Like, you know, there's room because IG is going to fall from last split. I think OMG will fall from last split. I do think that there's space to contend with teams like OMG, maybe teams like WE, maybe teams like AL. I do think there's potential for them to kind of get into the mix, but we just I need to see that happen, you know, like we're talking about potential. We're talking about them playing. LGD basically need to consistently play at the very best level that they showed last split, when they only really showed that level maybe 3, 4, 5 series last split. So I don't know how realistic of a expectation it is, but I hope to see it. I hope to see it. TT, I mean, TT kind of, even though they're in the same spot, I feel like they looked so much worse by the end of the split. They looked really good at the start of the split and then kind of just fell apart a bit. No changes, which I'm kind of okay with. I guess Feather joined. Oh yeah, Feather joined. And Xiaopeng left as a coach and Cheng Zi left as a coach. I think Cheng Zi, we saw him earlier. I can't remember. Oh, he joined WE. And Xiaopeng joined... Xiaopeng's on a big team, if I remember right. But I don't remember who. What tune? Where's Xiaopeng? Oh, he's on RNG. Okay. I've opened all of them now. Right, anyway. TT. Yeah, so lost a bit of coaching staff. I don't know. I don't really see it. I think there's some good talent on this roster, but with how the last split ended, I struggle to envision the world where this team suddenly becomes a team and like looks really good at macro and like moves around the map correctly. Like, I feel like this is going to be a team that wins some games just on like raw talent and they diff some people, but when it comes to best of fives, when it comes to trying to fight for playoffs, I don't think they're going to be consistent enough. So I think sadly TT are just kind of doomed to be just below middle of the table. To be honest, I think 13th is pretty much accurate. I don't think that's going to change. RNG. How long we got? 2 seconds. Okay. RNG gained breathe. Oh, sorry, no, they lost breathe. What am I talking about? Can you tell I didn't sleep well? Against EDZ, instead of breathe, they got Huanfeng, who hasn't looked that good for a few years. It does seem like maybe the meta will be good for him. I just don't see it. I just don't see it, guys. I don't know. Maybe Ming and Wei just go crazy form. Maybe ZDZ had some really good games last split. You know, I don't know if he's not really going to be the guy that wins loads of games for you necessarily, but maybe. I don't really see it. I don't really see it. I think the bot lane situation is a lot better with Huanfeng. I hope it is, but I don't know if that's really enough. Maybe they can make playoffs. I think it's possible to make playoffs, but I don't think, like, if you look at them in the context of their group, I don't think they're beating WE. I mean, we saw that they're not beating WE, in fact. I think even maybe LGD can beat them, to be honest. So I think it's possible RNG just come fourth in that group. Like, they're definitely not getting Alpha, and I don't think that they're going to top that second group. So, yeah, I think they probably miss playoffs. I think they may be close, but I think they miss playoffs. Rare Atom, Xiaohao over Nayu, I think a big upgrade. And I think Shui looked good last split on Ultra Prime, so I think that's decent. I don't think Zora looked that bad, so I think it's kind of a side move, but yeah, I think this is it. This is an okay roster. You know, I don't think it's going to be game breaking. I think they're going to be. I don't think they'll make playoffs or anything like that, but they're okay. I'm excited to see what Asum and Dway can do, because I feel like these are both like slightly underrated players. So I hope that they can show us some good stuff. Biclair, you know, didn't have a great split. He had some really good games, so maybe he can show us that that can happen more often. Xiao Hao's always exciting, so I just hope this is a fun team to watch. EDG, I actually kind of believe in this team. I think this is a big upgrade. So Ala left, which sucks for them, but they got in Wink and they got in Cryan. Like Fisher, as much as I disagree with the way they approached... Shit, we're in draft. Let's quickly finish this. As much as I disagree with how EDG like just flamed Fisher on social media, I think that was really piss poor from them as an organization. I do think he needed replacing also. I think Cryan is pretty decent. I think he's a good middling, like role player mid laner. He's got some champions where he's really good. Ala went to AL, for anyone asking. Wink as well, I think is a pretty good support. Very good on the aggressive picks. I think Leave gets a new support to work with as well, so maybe that can work out. Maybe it's the Snake playing, I don't know, we'll have to see. Jeje, I think, has a bit more to work with here with Cryan and Wink. Like, I feel like those three can be a really solid core, and then you plug in Leave, you plug in Solo Kill. I genuinely think this could be a decent team. I really think this could be a decent team. I think middle of the pack, possibly even playoffs if it goes really well, but I do think they've got a lot of work cut out to make playoffs. Finally, Ultra Prime. I think Ultra Prime kind of still just look like Ultra Prime. Side grade in support. Dway looked good-ish last split. Niket apparently good, according to Kelsey. I've not really seen him play. Qingtian, I think, is definitely an upgrade on Decade. But I still don't really believe in this. Like, Doggos, fine, Yokai. I mean, Yokai had some really good moments, actually, but also had some not good moments. You know, I don't think they're making playoffs. I think they're going to be towards the bottom of the standings. Yeah. There we go. I hope that was fun and informative and whatever.